The calm before the storm. The galaxy stretched far and wide, filled with countless stars. Space was silent, almost too quiet, as if it were waiting for something to happen. It was the kind of calm that only came before a storm, the kind of peace that meant everything was about to change. In one corner of this vast, endless space, Earth was just another tiny speck, small, blue, and seemingly insignificant. For years, Earth's existence had gone unnoticed by most of the galaxy. But things were changing, and the aliens, who had been watching from the shadows, were about to make their move. The alien fleet, a powerful armada of warships, cruised through space with purpose. Their ships were massive, armed with weapons that could destroy entire planets with a single blast. These beings, far older and more advanced than humans, were confident. They had conquered many worlds before, and Earth, with its primitive technology and weak defenses, was nothing to fear. They believed the humans had no chance. They thought Earth would be easy prey. On Earth, the days leading up to the arrival of the alien fleet were filled with fear and confusion. Governments around the world scrambled to prepare. Earth had no experience with intergalactic warfare. The idea of an alien invasion was something from science fiction, a story that seemed too unbelievable to be real. But now, reality had arrived. General Sarah Hayes, one of the leaders of Earth's defense force, stood in front of a large digital map that displayed the approaching alien fleet. Her eyes were focused, scanning every detail of the map. The fleet was getting closer, and there was no turning back. She had spent her entire life training for a moment like this, but even she wasn't sure what was coming. The aliens had underestimated Earth, and she was determined to prove them wrong. "Prepare the defenses," she said to her team, her voice steady, but filled with a quiet urgency. "We don't know what they're capable of, but we can't let them think we're defenseless." Her words echoed in the room, but there was little anyone could say in response. Earth's military had never faced an enemy like this. Their weapons, while strong, were no match for the alien technology. Yet there was something about this situation that felt different, something about the way the aliens had underestimated them that made Sarah believe there was still hope. In another part of the world, in a small military base, hidden deep in the mountains, Captain Elias Jordan stood in front of his squad. He had seen his share of battles, but this was unlike anything he had ever imagined. His team had trained for years, preparing for an enemy they thought would never come. But now that the time had come, their mission was clear: protect Earth at all costs. "We've been training for this moment our whole lives," Captain Jordan said, his voice strong and commanding. "These aliens think we're weak, think we're primitive. They couldn't be more wrong. This isn't just about fighting back. This is about showing them that they've made a mistake." The squad nodded in agreement, their faces set with determination. They knew the odds were against them, but they were ready. Humans had a unique ability to surprise, and in the face of the impossible, that was their greatest strength. Back in the command center, General Hayes watched as the first of the alien ships entered Earth's atmosphere. The massive vessels were sleek and imposing, their dark metal surfaces reflecting the light of the distant stars. As they neared the planet, Sarah couldn't help but feel a chill run down her spine. These ships were unlike anything Earth had ever seen. The sheer size of the fleet was enough to make even the bravest warriors feel a sense of dread. But despite the fear that crept into her heart, Sarah remained focused. She had a job to do. She had to protect her people, no matter what. The alien ships began their descent, moving in perfect formation, and a communication signal was sent out. The voice that came through the speakers was cold, emotionless. "Humans of Earth, this is your final warning. Surrender now or face annihilation. Your planet is no match for our power. Do not resist." The message sent a shockwave through the command center. Everyone knew that this was not a bluff. The aliens were serious. They were ready to destroy Earth, and they had the firepower to do it. But General Hayes refused to back down. "We don't surrender," she said firmly. turning to face her team. "We fight." As the alien ships neared, Sarah knew that this was the moment Earth would either rise or fall. Everything that had been built, everything that the human race had ever achieved, was on the line. The aliens might have the power, but Earth had something they didn't: heart. The countdown to the invasion had begun. The galaxy had no idea what was about to unfold. The calm before the storm was over. The storm had arrived, and Earth was about to show the aliens that they had underestimated humanity in the most powerful way possible. With a deep breath, General Hayes looked up at the screen again. The fleet was almost here. There was no turning back. As the alien ships descended into Earth's atmosphere, a palpable tension filled the air. The world seemed to hold its breath, waiting for the inevitable. The lights of Earth's cities flickered as governments and military forces across the globe prepared for the unimaginable. General Sarah Hayes stood at the front of the command center, her gaze fixed on the giant screens in front of her. The alien fleet was now so close that she could see their outlines clearly. The fleet, which consisted of dozens of colossal warships, had begun to align themselves in formation. They hovered silently above the planet, their metal hulls gleaming in the light of the sun. These ships were sleek, with sharp edges and menacing designs. They looked like they had been built for one thing: to conquer. Sarah clenched her fists. The aliens were strong. There was no denying that. They had technology far more advanced than anything Earth had ever seen. Yet she had always believed that humanity's greatest strength was its ability to think differently, to adapt and overcome. And now she was about to find out if that belief could be turned into reality. "We need to strike first," Sarah said, her voice steady. She turned to her team, who had been watching the screens intently. "If we wait for them to make the first move, we may never get a chance. Prepare the weapons. Our best chance is to hit them hard and fast." The tension was thick as the team scrambled to put her orders into motion. Across the world, Earth's military forces were readying their own weapons, trying to utilize every resource they had. While Earth's weaponry may have seemed primitive compared to the aliens' advanced arsenal, it was all they had, and they weren't about to let it go to waste. Captain Elias Jordan, leading one of the human defense squads, stood at his command station, looking out over the approaching alien ships. His heart was pounding in his chest, but there was a quiet resolve in his eyes. His squad had trained for this moment their entire lives, but even he knew that nothing could truly prepare them for what was coming. "We're going to show them just how far we've come," Captain Jordan muttered to himself. He grabbed his helmet, preparing for what was to come. "Let's make them regret underestimating us." Across the globe, the same message was being passed along. This was it. This was their chance to strike back. Meanwhile, the alien fleet's command center, located on one of the largest ships, sat in stark contrast to the chaos unfolding on Earth. The aliens, who had watched and studied the humans for years, were confident. The human race was primitive, backward, and weak in comparison. They thought their military might would be enough to crush Earth's meager defenses. There was no hesitation in their decision to invade. "Initiate the bombardment," the lead alien commander ordered, his voice cold and emotionless. His people had conquered countless planets before, and this one would be no different. "The humans will surrender or perish." The alien fleet's cannons began to glow, and Earth held its breath. But as the first blast of energy was fired toward the planet, something unexpected happened. Just as the energy beam shot forward, it veered off course. For a split second, it seemed like a malfunction. But then, another blast missed its target. The aliens were puzzled. Their precision weapons were supposed to be flawless. "What is happening?" the alien commander growled. In the chaos of their confusion, a voice came through their comms. "They're firing back." The alien officers could hear the panic in the voice of their own soldiers. The aliens had never expected such resistance, especially not from a species as primitive as humans. On Earth, General Hayes watched the alien weapons fire, her heart racing. For a moment, Everything seemed to move in slow motion. She could see the beams of light heading toward the planet. But then something extraordinary happened. Earth's defense systems, especially the new experimental anti-missile tech, activated just in time. The advanced systems intercepted and deflected the alien blasts before they could hit their intended targets. The humans had not only survived the first wave, but they had done the unthinkable. They had turned the aliens' own weapons against them. "It's working," one of the technicians in the command center shouted. "We're deflecting their shots." But that wasn't the only surprise. The humans had also begun their own counterattack. Earth's weaponry, though outmatched by the aliens' advanced technology, was now being used with a new level of creativity. Human ingenuity had come into play. Across the globe, humans launched a variety of strikes. Fighters took to the skies, weaving through the alien fire as they shot missiles at the invading ships. From the ground, military units fired everything they had, targeting vulnerable areas of the alien fleet. While the weapons weren't as advanced, they were precise and calculated. And for the first time, the aliens realized they had made a fatal mistake. They had underestimated humanity. Sarah stood firm at the command center, her eyes fixed on the screen. The first wave of alien ships was now under attack. It was working, but this was only the beginning. The alien fleet was vast, and they had no idea what else Earth had prepared. "We've got their attention," she said with a small, determined smile. "But we can't let up. This is our moment to show them that we are not a species to be underestimated." Captain Jordan, watching from his squad's base, saw the same thing. The aliens had thought that they were dealing with weak, primitive creatures, but they were wrong. The humans had not only survived the first wave, but had also fought back fiercely. He could see the fear starting to creep into the alien ranks. "This is just the beginning," he muttered to himself. "We have them on the ropes. Now we finish the job." For the first time since the invasion began, hope surged through the human forces. The aliens thought they had Earth figured out. They thought their firepower would be enough. But what they hadn't counted on was humanity's ability to turn the tables, turn the fight into something completely unexpected. The truth was just beginning to dawn on the aliens. They had no idea who they were really fighting. The fight for Earth had just begun, and they would soon find out what humanity was truly capable of. As the alien fleet recoiled from the unexpected counterattacks, they struggled to regain their bearings. The Earth's defenses, once thought rudimentary, were now proving far more resilient and unpredictable than anticipated. General Sarah Hayes stood at the front of the command center, watching the live feeds of the battle unfolding above Earth's atmosphere. She had always believed that humans had an innate ability to adapt, to fight back when cornered. Now she was witnessing it firsthand. Her heart raced as she watched the alien ships falter. They had expected an easy victory, a swift conquest. Instead, they were facing an enemy they had failed to understand. An enemy willing to fight with everything they had, an enemy that refused to give up. "Commander, the aliens are repositioning their fleet. They're trying to regroup," one of the technicians reported urgently. "They're focusing fire on our defense systems, trying to knock them out." Sarah's mind raced. The aliens had underestimated Earth's fighting spirit, but now they were learning. They were trying to adapt to the unexpected resistance. But the humans had one advantage the aliens couldn't replicate: their unpredictability. "We can't let them recover. Prepare the second wave," Sarah ordered. "We need to keep the pressure on. If we give them a chance to regroup, they might start picking us off one by one." As the alien ships maneuvered, attempting to bring their advanced weaponry to bear on Earth's forces, Sarah's eyes caught something she had been hoping to see. The human counterattacks weren't just random shots. They were precise, targeted strikes aimed at specific weak points in the alien fleet. Whoever had designed Earth's new weapons had thought of everything, down to the smallest detail. These weren't just missiles or laser blasts. They were carefully calculated strikes designed to disrupt the aliens' tactical advantage. On the ground, Captain Elias Jordan's squad was making similar strides. The aliens had thought that humanity's primitive nature would make them easy targets, but Earth's soldiers had quickly learned how to exploit their weaknesses. Using the terrain to their advantage, they attacked from hidden positions, firing high-powered energy weapons at alien walkers and ground units. The alien forces were beginning to stagger, unsure how to handle the relentless onslaught. "We're pushing them back," Captain Jordan shouted, his voice filled with adrenaline as he watched a second wave of alien war machines fall. "But we can't stop now. They won't stop until we're completely overwhelmed. We need to keep up the momentum." For the first time since the battle began, the alien commanders began to feel a growing sense of uncertainty. They had underestimated Earth in every possible way. They had expected to easily crush this primitive race, but now they were facing a relentless enemy they couldn't predict. Earth's military might not match theirs in size or technology, but it had something the aliens could never replicate: resolve. As Sarah observed the battle from the command center, she couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. The humans had held their own, and they were starting to gain the upper hand. But she knew better than to get comfortable. The aliens were a powerful force, and they wouldn't just give up. This was a fight that would be won only by pushing their advantage to the limit. "We've got to keep them guessing," Sarah said, turning to her team. "Let's activate the next phase of our strategy. We're going to hit them from all sides, surprise them again." The next phase involved using the element of surprise. The humans had devised a cunning plan to strike the aliens where they least expected it, by using their own technology against them. Earth's engineers had been working tirelessly, reverse engineering the alien weaponry that had been captured in previous skirmishes. They had learned how to hack into the alien ship systems, how to control their automated defenses, and how to turn their firepower against them. In the midst of the chaos, the first signs of success became apparent. A group of alien ships that had been heavily damaged by Earth's previous attacks suddenly lost power. One by one, their shields flickered out, leaving them vulnerable to further strikes. The aliens had no idea what had caused the malfunction. "We've hacked into their systems," one of the technicians shouted in disbelief. "We've got control over several ships." Sarah's eyes widened. This was the moment she had been hoping for. With the alien fleet's own ships now under their control, the humans could launch an even more devastating counterattack. "Launch the counteroffensive," Sarah ordered. "We hit them where it hurts." The orders were quickly relayed, and the hacked alien ships began to fire back at their own fleet. The shock and confusion in the alien ranks was immediate. They had never faced an enemy that could not only match their firepower, but also manipulate their technology. The result was chaos. Some of the alien ships began to turn on each other, firing at their own forces, while others tried desperately to regain control. The aliens had no idea what was happening. Captain Jordan, watching the unfolding spectacle, felt a surge of hope. "They're falling apart," he shouted. "We've got them on the ropes. Now, we finish them off." The ground troops continued their relentless assault, taking advantage of the confusion in the alien ranks. They attacked from multiple directions, striking with precision and speed. Earth's soldiers knew they had to act quickly. This might be their only chance to gain the upper hand. Back in the command center, Sarah could feel the tide of the battle shifting. The aliens were no longer the confident, unstoppable force they had once been. Their overconfidence had been their downfall. They thought they could conquer Earth without resistance, but humanity had something they could never understand: determination. "Keep pushing them back," Sarah said, her voice firm. "This is just the beginning. We need to show them what happens when you underestimate us." The humans had won the first major battle of the war, but the aliens still held a significant advantage in terms of firepower and numbers. Sarah knew this was only the start of a long and difficult struggle. But for the first time, the aliens had learned a painful lesson. They had severely underestimated Earth, and the consequences of that mistake were now becoming painfully clear. The humans had made their mark. They had shown the galaxy that Earth was not a weak, defenseless planet to be ignored. The fight for survival was far from over, but Earth had proven one thing for certain. Humanity was not going down without a fight. The battle had taken a turn, but it wasn't over yet. The once confident alien fleet, now in disarray, struggled to regain control of the situation. They had underestimated humanity's resolve and ingenuity, and now they were paying the price. The alien commanders, who had thought their victory was certain, were growing frantic. Every move they made seemed to be met with resistance. Each time they attempted to regroup, Earth's forces countered with surprising efficiency. General Vlorin, the supreme commander of the alien forces, paced in the command center of his flagship. His sharp yellow eyes scanned the holographic map of the battlefield, his mind racing as he tried to devise a way to reverse the tide of the conflict. The fleet was larger, technologically superior, and yet humanity had managed to turn the tide. He had no explanation for it, no rational reason why a primitive species had been able to so effectively counter his advanced technology. How did this happen? Vlorin muttered under his breath. He slammed his fist onto the control panel, a deep growl escaping from his throat. These humans should have been crushed by now. His second-in-command, Commander Vestra, stood at his side, trying to maintain composure. "Sir, we have reports of several of our ships losing power. They're being overrun by Earth's forces. Some of them have even turned on us. We've identified a hacking signal coming from their fleet." Vlorin's face darkened. Hacking? Impossible. Their technology is primitive. How could they possibly breach our systems? "We don't know, sir," Vestra replied, his voice tinged with disbelief. "But it seems that the humans have found a way to infiltrate our systems. They turned some of our own ships against us." Vlorin's mind raced as he processed this new information. His once pristine plan was falling apart. The humans had found a way to exploit his fleet's greatest strength, its technological superiority. And now, with some of his ships attacking their own forces, the alien fleet was in chaos. "Alert the fleet," Vlorin ordered. "We must regain control before we lose everything." Meanwhile, on Earth, Sarah Hayes stood in the command center, watching the battle unfold. The sight of alien ships firing on each other was a surreal one. The shock on the alien commanders' faces was visible in every report. Humanity had turned the tables, but the war was far from over. She knew the aliens would regroup and they would come back stronger. But for now, she allowed herself a brief moment of satisfaction. "Let's not get complacent," Sarah reminded her team. "The aliens are a formidable force. This could be a temporary setback for them, but they will adjust and come back at us with everything they've got." Her voice was steady, but inside, her heart was pounding. They had done something extraordinary, but she knew it wouldn't be enough to win the war. The humans had proven their ability to adapt, to fight back when faced with impossible odds. But the aliens weren't going to make the same mistake again. They would learn from this, and when they did, the next phase of the war would be even more brutal. "Commander," one of her officers interrupted her thoughts. "We're receiving an encrypted communication from the alien fleet. It's a direct transmission." "Put it through," Sarah ordered, her curiosity piqued. She knew the aliens were not the type to negotiate, but she couldn't ignore any chance to learn more about their plans. The communication came through, and a cold alien voice filled the room. "Humans of Earth," the voice began, "you have proven yourselves more resilient than we anticipated. But this war is far from over. We will not be so easily defeated. You have interfered with our plans, but we will strike back. You will learn that you are nothing compared to the might of the Galactic Empire." Sarah's face hardened as she listened. It was exactly what she had expected, threats and empty boasts. But there was something in the voice, a subtle tremor of fear, that caught her attention. The aliens were angry, yes, but they were also rattled. They weren't used to losing, and now, for the first time, they had been forced to reckon with a species that wouldn't just roll over. "We're ready for you," Sarah responded, her voice unwavering. "You've underestimated us before. Don't make that mistake again." The transmission ended abruptly, but the weight of the words hung heavy in the air. Sarah knew that this was far from over. The aliens would regroup, they would adapt, but they had learned a valuable lesson. Earth wasn't a planet to be ignored. Humanity had something that the aliens didn't: determination, resourcefulness, and the will to survive against all odds. In space, the alien fleet was indeed regrouping. Vlorin, now more focused than ever, was rallying his forces for a second wave. "We will crush them," he muttered to himself, though his voice lacked the certainty it had once held. The humans had given him a wake-up call, but the alien commander wasn't the type to back down. He would learn from this, adapt, and when the time came, he would ensure that Earth paid the price for its defiance. Back on Earth, Sarah watched the battle continue, knowing that the real fight was just beginning. The aliens had underestimated them, and now the humans had shown that they could strike back in ways the invaders had never expected. But this was just the start. The aliens would come back stronger, and it was up to Earth's defenders to be ready for the next phase. "We've got one shot at this," Sarah said, turning to her team. "We can't afford to let them regain their confidence. We need to hit them hard again and keep them on the defensive." As the battle raged on above Earth, the fate of the planet hung in the balance. The aliens had thought Earth was an easy target, but they were beginning to realize just how wrong they had been. Earth was far stronger than they had ever imagined, and the cost of underestimating humanity would be steep. But the aliens were not finished yet. They would come back, and the next move would decide the fate of the galaxy. The tension in the command center on Earth was palpable. Every person in the room was aware that the battle had entered a new phase. The alien fleet had regrouped, but they had also learned to respect humanity's unpredictability. Sarah Hayes, standing before the vast array of monitors and control panels, knew that the stakes had never been higher. The aliens were no longer simply an outside threat. They were a force that now understood humanity's capacity for defiance. They would not hesitate to strike with all their might. "General Hayes," her officer called, his voice laced with urgency. "The aliens are launching a full assault. They're organizing a concentrated attack aimed at our capital cities and military hubs. They mean to crush us in one final push." Sarah's heart sank as she heard the report. She had known this was coming. The aliens were cornered and desperate. It was now or never. They had been tested, and they had failed. But in their eyes, they had only suffered a temporary setback. The aliens had resources, technology, and an entire fleet at their disposal. They weren't about to give up just because of a few surprises. They would fight harder than ever. She didn't waste time second-guessing herself. "Prepare all forces," Sarah commanded. "We can't afford to be passive. This will be the fight of our lives." The response from her officers was immediate. Across the world, humanity's remaining forces rallied. The entire global defense network was on high alert. The alien fleet, now positioned in a vast formation around Earth, was ready for its final strike. Their ships, formidable and relentless, hovered ominously above the planet, poised to launch their barrage. But Sarah had a plan. It wasn't just about holding Earth anymore. It was about ensuring the aliens knew exactly how wrong they had been. "Everything we've done so far, this is our chance to make it count," Sarah said, her voice steadied despite the weight of the situation. "We need to launch everything we have, and we need to hit them where it hurts." The alien fleet, under the command of Vlorin, was growing more confident. They had seen the humans fight, and they had seen the desperation in their eyes, but they still believed in the overwhelming superiority of their technology. Their immense ships hovered above Earth, weapons charged and ready to unleash devastating firepower. They thought this would be the end. They thought they could break humanity's spirit. "We have them cornered," Vlorin said coldly, standing at the bridge of his flagship. "This time, there will be no more surprises. Finish them." His order echoed throughout the fleet, and the alien ships began their attack. Beams of intense energy cut through space, aimed at Earth's cities, designed to obliterate everything in their path. The first wave of firepower struck like lightning, an overwhelming display of destructive force. But what the aliens didn't realize was that Earth's forces had been preparing for this moment. The humans had studied the aliens, learned their tactics, and understood their weaknesses. As the alien beams rained down, Earth's countermeasures were already in motion. The human fleet, now fully assembled and more coordinated than ever, launched a barrage of their own. But these weren't just ordinary missiles or lasers. They were precision weapons designed to exploit every flaw in the alien ship's defenses. The first few shots struck true, causing massive explosions across the alien fleet. Vlorin watched in horror as his ships began to falter. "What are they doing?" he demanded, his voice tinged with disbelief. "They're supposed to be primitives." But Sarah knew something that Vlorin didn't. She had spent countless hours studying the aliens' patterns, their weaknesses, their technology. She had found the gaps in their seemingly perfect defenses. And now, humanity was using those weaknesses against them. Their countermeasures weren't just about firepower. They were about precision and understanding the enemy. The human fleet unleashed another wave of firepower, striking alien ships in their vulnerable spots. Explosions ripped through the alien ranks. For the first time, the invincible alien fleet was on the back foot. They weren't just losing ships, they were losing control. Panic began to spread among the alien ranks, and their once imposing fleet now seemed vulnerable. "It's happening," Sarah said quietly, watching the battle unfold. The fear in the alien fleet was palpable now, and that fear was spreading like wildfire. "They didn't understand us, and now they're paying the price." But even as the aliens faltered, Vlorin knew there was still time to turn the tide. His fleet was in disarray, but he wasn't about to let it slip away. "Prepare for a final strike," Vlorin ordered, his voice booming over the intercom. "We will show them the true power of the Empire." The alien ships began to concentrate their remaining firepower on Earth's defenses, targeting the most critical infrastructure, aiming to cripple humanity's ability to retaliate. They were making their final play, throwing everything they had into one last attempt to destroy Earth. But it was already too late. Humanity had already made its mark, and the aliens had underestimated them once more. As Earth's forces scrambled to evade the final assault, one last surprise awaited the alien fleet. From deep within the atmosphere, Earth's hidden defenses, undetected by the aliens, emerged in full force. Weapons that the aliens had no knowledge of opened fire, catching them off guard. The alien fleet, already weakened, couldn't withstand the onslaught. One by one, their ships were struck down, falling like burning stars from the sky. Sarah stood firm, watching the devastation unfold. The aliens had underestimated humanity in every way imaginable. And now, Earth was proving that they had made the ultimate mistake. They had thought they could crush humanity with ease. They had thought that Earth's primitive weapons and technology could never stand up to their advanced fleet. But Earth had something they didn't, a fighting spirit that could not be broken, no matter the odds. The alien fleet, now in disarray and retreating, left Earth behind, their plans in ruins. Vlorin's voice, once filled with cold confidence, was now desperate. "Fall back. This is not the end. We will return." But for now, humanity had won. Against all odds, Earth had withstood the invasion. The aliens had thought they could crush humanity's spirit, but instead, they had awakened a force they could never have predicted. The war was not over, but the galaxy would never forget the lesson they had learned that day. Earth was not weak. Earth was not a target to be dismissed. Earth was a force to be reckoned with, and humanity had shown that they would fight for their survival, no matter the cost.